So I was just released from interrogation. I have no clue who paid the bail, by the way. And I find that 2 of this game's cases have been rated as shit tier. Society's a mess and now I'm demonetized.
The second game, Phoenix Wright Justice for All, was in hindsight my least favorite game, primarily due to its musical accompaniment being the weakest at the time. After replaying it, I have newfound respect for it, but I think, final case aside, it's a really forgettable experience overall.
I can't really comment on the whole music thing as someone who listens to game LST while doing their homework, but I disagree. I like this game a lot better than the first one, to be honest. I think it is better. Hey, don't act like this series is actually popular amongst my a bleep. Well, this is just bullshit. And that is why today I'll be taking the case for Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for... Are you kidding? Anyway, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for... What? Anyway, I will defend this game as being the most forgettable for the most part, because firstly, you can't compete against your first time experiencing the series. It's such a different style of game, and secondly, it is still memorable anyway, as each case leaves you with something to think about. It really is a lot more focused than the first game in what it's trying to say, and it felt like every case had me hesitate just a little before the culprit's condemnation, and left me pondering afterwards if what I had just done was truly just. I won't spoil anything further, let's just jump right into this piece of shit. Alright, it's not that bad. It's pretty meh compared to the rest of the game though, I have to be fair. It is in fact a tutorial case, and is more interesting than the first games. The Lost Turnabout sees Phoenix hit with amnesia after a nightmare of not being good enough, so Phoenix tries to scrape up anything he can after he's just plonked right into a murder case. For those who aren't aware, the Ace Attorney series consists of visual novels accompanied by fun character sprites and nice backgrounds, various puzzles presented to the player, and a usually great musical score. Phoenix Wright serves as the protagonist and defends many oddballs framed for murder as the defense attorney, not so much a rookie anymore. Watch my video! Maggie Bird's boyfriend has been killed at the park and has a witness against her, whom experts have expertly honed in as the murderer against all odds. It's just a tutorial case with the whole side story of memory loss. The case actually presents some unique strains however, with the whole trying your hardest to remember anything. As you haven't done any investigation, it puts the player in Phoenix's shoes very well and in an interesting way. It definitely leaves something to be desired though, as it's a dumb filler case with some stupid bananas and this arrogant dunce. However, I'd be lying if I said that it didn't leave an impact, albeit a very unnoticeable one. It essentially establishes the fact that Phoenix doesn't quite know his place as a lawyer yet, and has a very frightening nightmare portraying this. Lastly, the music is very overdramatic for this case, and it does come back later to support the other cases very well, particularly case 4, but also case 2. The opening trial is so unnecessarily intense for this case though, especially considering its very forgettable nature. And him. I do like the rest of the music across the game, I have to make that clear. It's way tenser in the last case compared to the final cases of the first game. You couldn't be less tense than the anime though. Why did they throw their heads forward like that? It's like a meter away. Reunion and Turnabout takes place before the first case, despite being the second case in the game, and serves as a flashback to Maya's return. Maya is basically the younger sister of your dead mentor, and that's a whole thing. Watch my video. And she is once more framed for murder in our own hometown, Kurain village. After the mysterious death of Dr. Turner Gray, Maya is left in the channeling chamber alone with the victim, locked in with a key only she possesses behind a large iron-enforced door with a strong lock. She was seemingly not powerful enough to overcome the hostile spirit she channeled, thus is just as responsible for Dr. Gray's death. You actually get to talk around with everyone for a while before the murder occurs, so you actually understand the security and everything involved in the situation, and that it is really hopeless. A lot is going on secretly during the time, but the personal nature of your visit to Kurain village has you acknowledge how desperate this case looks despite it only being the second of the game. The content of the case is really good as well, heightened further by a new gameplay feature. The Psyche lock feature really solves the questionable part of the investigations, as a seemingly guarded character suddenly spills literally everything for no reason. Psyche locks are presented to Phoenix as a character lies from his Magatama, charged by Fey energy or something like that. The locks require evidence and will often need the player to recall their existence and come back to them once they've dug up enough information. As for the characters themselves, Von Karma returns. Not that old Boulder, his daughter, the prosecutor at age 13. 13! From Germany. Phoenix also makes a one-off comment about how prosecutors are evil people, but he didn't have to be. Phoenix is really shown to care about Maya in her reintroduction just as much as the player does. He and you probably want to defend her against all odds, and it's shown further here that he'll always need to believe in his client. Mia returns here too and helps Phoenix understand this truly, that to defend someone, you need to believe in them. The introduction of Pearl Faye, Mia and Maya's cousin, presents her as a really shy and sheltered child, but as the game goes on we go to really enjoy her intelligence in certain areas despite being secluded by her mother, Morgan Faye. Morgan serves here as a very controlling yet intelligent individual, extremely jealous on behalf of her daughter. She insists you address Maya and Pearl formally as Mystic Maya and Mystic Pearl. Their plan to set up Maya was exposed however, and she swears revenge. Hopefully that will pay off well. Now eeny meeny miny, I don't have no idea. Eeny meeny miny mo, that's really fun. So yeah, the real killer here posed as Maya during the incident and put up quite the act of an airhead. It's made really clear through the case that something just doesn't add up with her, and is hinted like various times that she knows far more than she's letting on, with 2 psyche locks and almost instant agitation. It's eventually deduced that in reality, Mimi Miney, Mimi, I don't care, has posed as her own sister, I'm not gonna say the names, it's written in the script, but it's a weird joke, but like it's spelt Miney, Mimi. It's deduced that Eni has actually been posing as Mimi, her deceased sister in quotation marks, when in reality Eni was the one who had died. Mimi was worked to death in her horrible work environment under Dr. Gray and fell victim to a tragic mistake causing 14 people's lives, and additionally fell asleep at the wheel of a flaming car. And then the life of her sister was taken, and she just wanted to be free of it all. And Dr. Gray wanted to be resurfaced again. As for the theme of this case, and how it relates to the overall theme of the game, Phoenix, and you as the player, have just convicted this person to basically life in prison, I think, because it's murder. So how's that for justice for all? Now, Turnabout Big Top is widely considered one of the most awful cases in Ace Attorney history, and I hate that because I really like the case. So to jump straight into it, we visit the Berry Big Circus, named after Russell Berry, the victim here. The circus hosts a bunch of zany and wacky characters nearby the lodging house for the performers, not to mention the star, Maximilian Galactica, otherwise known as the legendary Billy Bob Johns. Now the murder sees Russell Berry laying upon a large box, no footprints belonging to a killer anywhere. The case goes for 2 days as well. Surprisingly the longest any case goes in this game, rather than the usual 3 for the finale cases. And the first day is such a drag. The characters, however, are the main problem for most fans here, but they're way less jarring on the second playthrough for me at least. Yes, they're all circus freaks, but they actually hide behind all of their circus performances to hide the dismay that this whole situation has caused. The gameplay and music does not do them any favors, however. The first investigation day took me about 2 hours on my second playthrough, for example. Shenanigans are just constant, trying to fetch a stupid doll for this creeper, the only character I can proudly say I don't care for, Ben and his puppet, Triloquist. Do you get it? It's Ben Triloquist. They save a lot of the discovery for the second day of investigation, however, and that is really where it heats up. Psyche locks, a new character, mention of Edgeworth's strange disappearance, it's all here. And the trials actually see Phoenix take on the prosecution's traps, using their demeaning suggestions to his advantage again. This doesn't excuse the music though. Like, there'll be some areas where it's just completely silent. Some with the actual eerie yet loud nature of the circus that's actually fitting, only being present around like 2 characters. This goddamn thing. Shut up! The characters actually work. They're not that annoying and are a very interesting juxtaposition against the dire reality of the situation. Yet they're so tragically hurt in their own ways. Like Mo the Clown constantly using humor to evade the situation, and his potential responsibility for looking after the circus that was left upon him. However, the shit music keeps playing and encourages him. He otherwise isn't encouraged and has a real problem that he comes to terms with in the end. Now Acro, the true culprit, is calculated, wise, and yet battles harsh demons under all that. An accident took out both himself and his brother more drastically, putting him in a coma for seemingly forever. All because Regina, and her childish, naive views on the world, had her accidentally cause the accident and nearly kill Acro's brother. He plans out to kill her from his window, but ends up luring Russell, a father figure he loved so much and was apparently a great guy to everyone, and drops the weapon straight on his head. He had killed him by accident, and the only reason he'd even made it to this point and not killed himself was to hope for his poor brother's waking again. It's really sad and hits you right in the feels, as Akira is generally a really appreciative and insightful person to everyone. He just got so unbelievably irritated over Regina's differences from himself, claiming that his brother's still alive in the heavens as a star or some rubbish. As for the theme again, Phoenix certainly can't get justice for Akira anymore. He's broken, gone, and taken away. As for himself and Von Karma, Akira actually points out that they view the world with the same tint, that what they're doing is just right no matter what, and outside everyone is just disgrace. And Edgeworth, previously no different, has been forced out, just as Franziska and Wright will certainly be as well. I don't actually know where to begin with this case, because it hits every single point dead on perfect, except for this scene. This was hilarious. This case introduces itself at the Gatewater Imperial Hotel. Similar, but not to be confused with the one from Turnabout Sisters. Will Powers, a familiar face to some, has invited Phoenix, Maya and Pearl to the Hero of Heroes Grand Prix. The competition concludes with the victory of the Nickel Samurai, or Matt Ungard, the successor to the Steel Samurai in the sequel, beating out the rival Juan Kurita, or the Ninja, or as I pronounced it, Juan Kurita for the whole game. Sadly, right after the competition, he is heard to be deceased. Maya was called away shortly before as well, and as you're regrettably informed, she's been kidnapped for ransom. A complete acquittal for the accused, Matt Ungard. So now the summary is out of the way, I think the best way to cover this case is to go beat by beat through some of the best highlights, where everything gets its own time to shine. The first day of investigation begins with Pearl, distressed because she has no one left if Maya is gone after her mother was taken away. Now this investigation is long, but it works compared to Big Top's day one, as we're so desperate to know what the heck happened, and the game uses that against us to create a lot of necessary tension for a situation like this. At least Ungard has no Psyche locks inside. He guess he didn't kill anyone. Not much else can be said about the first day of investigation though, other than a few little things just don't add up quite right. The first trial finally arrives after an agonizing investigation for Phoenix, with a present from our assassin friend known as the Killer, as Franziska Von Karma has been shot by an unknown gunman. And who better to fill the spot than our pal Edgeworth, who appears extremely familiar with the case. It's believed up until this point that Edgeworth left because his stupid perfect record was broken, he couldn't handle it. Adrian Andrews is looking like the primary suspect you can latch onto, so Phoenix pulls out all the stops and earns her proper conviction, only to find after cornering her, she just won't admit it. Adrian's truth is pulled out of her by Edgeworth, although exposed of her true fragile nature, shows a glimpse of real bravery in setting our defendant up to take the fall despite not being the true culprit herself. In reality, however, Adrian is a broken person and is riddled with the death of her former mentor, Celeste Impax. That this murder was the job of Shelley the Killer, renowned assassin, and Phoenix is lost. The gavel slam, slower, louder, more painful for Phoenix, breaks him. What's gonna happen to Maya? Day 2 of investigation takes a greatly different tone as well. As the trial wrapped up so late last night, Phoenix investigates into the latest of hours. Edgeworth helps Phoenix out with the rescue team as well. Yet Phoenix and Mia, being channeled through Pearl, by the way it's super weird, can't seem to perceive Edgeworth as a newly revived friend, or the same old foe. But as Phoenix comes to learn, he's just a prosecutor. The investigation reaches a terrible point, and getting so much more tenser as the night drags on. You want the truth so badly, yet as it nears you tremble. Ungard is not looking good in this case. As he is asked about the potential motive, he denies anything. 5 Psyche locks appear. This alone here, this reveal of Matt Ungard's secret is just one of the greatest scenes ever. He's questioned about the supposed Nickel Samurai press conference after the show, where he was supposed to confess something in costume. One had already been exposed as the one to make that confession before he was cut off, obviously. So what would have been announced? After checking this bag gifted to Juan from investigating, it's been found with a camera recording and a transmitting radio signal at the exact time of the murder only, and to be purchased by Matt. But why would Matt know to record that exact time as the killer was committing the crime? Surely not. There has to be some insanely convoluted answer, right? There always is. Your defendant's never guilty. But he has to be, right? Matt's his client. Back onto Edgeworth before the final day, because he truly cements the message of this game better than anyone. Edgeworth is forced with the realization that he couldn't just stand in court until he really knew what a prosecutor was. It's not just that awful perfect record, but he asks the Phoenix, what is this thing called a lawyer? What do you do as one? The build up so far has had Phoenix believe he is some kind of hero, that he would get justice for all, but justice prevailed, right? But did it really, or was it just the truth? Two people, broken in very different ways, for very different reasons, sentenced away, their lives robbed from them. Justice won't always reach everyone, and this case needs a damn miracle for that to happen this time. As the final day arrives, Phoenix is plagued with the nightmare from the beginning. Both instances had Phoenix question his role as a lawyer, and now it's his destiny to find out. As he stole for time to avoid this supposed destiny, witnesses such as Will Powers and once more Adrian Andrews both tear you to shreds. This bear with Celeste's supposed suicide note was really important to Adrian, thus she testifies about it. The note had been stolen by one as he discovered Celeste's body shortly after he left her, after their engagement. And for what reason did our victim leave her? Because she had been with Matt Ungard previously, and he basically saw her as stained by his stupid rival. And Matt had additionally treated her like crap too, both their self-absorbed rivalries destroying this poor woman. And Adrian, being as brave as she is, just needed justice for her. But in a complete 180, the suicide note is revealed as a forgery by Adrian, simply existing to prove Matt's motive in killing Juan for it. She actually just couldn't find that note she was after for all those years, but couldn't go without seeing justice through. Edgeworth has the upper hand for most of it, until now, when the killer himself takes up the witness stand. Phoenix is suddenly in full control, upsetting the killer so much in the end as he kept stalling for his obvious advantage in the courtroom. But it can't go any longer. Phoenix is faced with this decision. Despite being present numerous times before, a truly guilty client is the only way for Phoenix to face his role as a lawyer. He isn't some hero, and there won't always be justice for everyone. He is just there to find the truth in cross-examinations, to find the truth with the prosecution, to trust in one another. Is Phoenix going to end what Adrian Andrews worked so hard for? Then it isn't really justice for all, is it? And that's not what it's all about. What do you choose? Guilty or not guilty? The real message at the end, after you're forced to brutally accept reality, that there won't always be justice for everyone, like a fairy tale, Franziska shows up at the absolute last moment. It may sound like a massive cop-out, but it really isn't after you know the struggle of constantly being beaten down over and over. It seems as though you've carried yourself through the entire case so much, it's all seemed like you're some sort of knight, special hero for Maya and Pearl up to this point. But when you needed it, Edgeworth, Gumshoe, and surprisingly, Franziska came together on your side to have justice prevail. On your own, you really couldn't carry as much as Phoenix tried, and sometimes people will just stand against you as exemplified by the rest of the entire game. There is a story behind everyone, and some are just born to clash, but sometimes people just come together and achieve what is truly just, and in the end, if well-spirited enough, really sharpen each other in the end. God, I just don't know how to wrap it up any better than that. This game, if I'm being serious, probably gets about an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It was just amazing, and although the last case really dominated my review, it is that good that it could carry the game on its own. It's just the epitome of what this game stands for. Yet it doesn't need to be, and the rest of the game really does hold up in my opinion too. And obviously, if I'm not being serious, it gets a 3800 burning furry cons out of 10. Good thing I'm in this world, they'll never find me. Ah, shit. What kind of witchcraft you found? See? That! What the hell?
I'm the one in control.
I'm the one in control.
Whatever, man. Lunatic. I'm the one in control.